What's going on, you guys? I'm Mr. 512 with my partner in crime, Dark Knight 987. And you're probably asking yourself, you're probably wondering, just like he's wondering, Grim, it's not October anymore, pal. Why are you doing Halloween? Why are you doing Halloween movies still? Well, I know it's not Halloween anymore, but let me explain. There was a movie that I wanted to do. There was a movie that I wanted to talk about when I did Rip from the Silverscreen last month. And it was the 1982 horror film The Thing, which was directed by John Carpenter. But what I am going to do is this is going to be a little bit different. This review is going to be a little bit of a different story because I'm going to do two movies that have the same name to them. So basically, I'm going to give you guys me and Dark Knight 987 are going to discuss and debate the 1982 film and its 2011 so-called prequel of The Thing. And basically, this is something new that I'm gonna have coming to the channel very soon, and it's the name of the segment's called Film Fights. Now, what Film Fights is, and just so you know, Film Fights is basically you're gonna take two of the same movie, you're gonna put them head to head against each other, and and two people are going to come on the channel and debate whether or not the remake was any good or the sequel or the prequel or whatever the hell you want to call this, the remake, was any good or not. So I figured, it's still kind of sort of the beginning of November. And I know Halloween was about 5 days ago. What better way to end off Rip from the Silverscreen with a Halloween edition of Film Fights? So, me and Dark Knight 987 are going to, as I said before, we're going to discuss both films. The 2011 version and the 1982 version of John Carpenter's The Thing. Now, if you guys don't know what The Thing is basically about a group of individuals who go to it's basically about a group of researchers who are in Antarctica, and they come to find out that there's this monstrous situation going on. You don't know who the hell this thing is. You have no idea who the hell the monster is. You have no idea who's telling the truth about what or who is who. You know what I mean? So that's basically The Thing in a nutshell. So we're gonna talk about the story. We're gonna go through 3 levels. This is how Film Fight is going to be. We're going to talk about the characters. That's number 1. We're going to talk about the story. And last but not least, we're going to talk about how we we're going to talk about the trying to think the special effects that were involved in both films. So let's get this film fight on, shall we? Okay, so the 1982 one was directed by John Carpenter. It is based on a book, surprisingly, by John W. Campbell Jr. by the name of Who Goes There. The film stars Kurt Russell and Keith David, and a lot of other people. And the 2011 version is directed by Mathies van Heijningen Jr. Yeah. I can't really. Okay, so the 2011 version stars Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Joe Egerton, Ulrich Thompson, Adwali Akunawa Agabi, and Eric Christian Olsen. So this is supposed to be a sequel to the first, or a prequel, I guess. But I don't know why it's set in the. Let me see here. Oh, okay. I was looking at it. I'm like, what? Okay, so yeah, this is set in the very same situation with the 1982 version. So we're going to talk about the 2011 version real quick and give our discussion about that. And then we'll go into the discussion about the 1982 version and see which one of these were the better film. Which one of these had the better, had the more scares involved. Which one had the more, which one was more horrifying than the other. You know what I mean? So does that kind of make sense, man?
Yeah, it does.
Alright. So in the 2011 version, it's basically a prequel to the 1982 film, which occurs, before the situation that goes on with the other film, with the 1982 one. So let me see here. So Mary Elizabeth Winstead plays Kate Lloyd, who is an American vertebrate paleontologist, graduate from Columbia University, and she comes and she meets with she comes and meets up with these individuals, with these Norwegian and American individuals that are living in this base, and this is when they discover. This is the very first. During this movie, it's kind of sort of like the original, the 1982 version, but this is when they first discover this monster. This is when they first discover this horrific monster that is that could take shape of just about anything or anyone. This film got a lot of flack. This film got was a commercial failure. Was a complete failure, and I could see why. It was trying to be just like the original. It was trying to be just like the original 1982 version, but only they decided to give. They're trying to incorporate how it all came to be, I guess. So that's basically what this prequel is.
Yeah.
Basically about, and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff that's kind of sort of from the original movie, like the fact that they were trying to make her they were trying to make Mary's character a little bit like Ellen, like Ripley from the Alien series. They were trying to make it much different from Kurt Russell's RJ, who was the main character in the original, in the 1982 version.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if he has ever seen the original or not. I have. I've seen both the 2011 and the 1982 version. So it's kind of a little bit hard to try to you have you ever seen the original one, dude? Or no?
No, I have not.
You've never seen. Okay. So you haven't seen the 2011 version neither.
No, I haven't. But I know what these movies are. I mean, and coincidentally enough, it mentioned that there was a video game based on it, and I actually used to have it.
Okay, so it's kind of okay.
Yeah.
I've never played. See, I've never played the video game. He has, and
The original Xbox, the original first Xbox.
yeah. So, I think the game is kind of like the original version, right? Is it like the original version, or is it like, or what is it?
It came out in 2002. So it's same as a sequel to the 82 film with the same name. Focusing Captain Blake, a member of the U.S. Force team sent to the Antarctic outpost featured in the film to determine what has happened to the research team. Wow. The name was endorsed by John Carpenter, who does a voice in the game in an uncredited role, a cameo. So,
Okay, so okay. So this is like the sequel to it,
basically.
to the film. So, okay. All right, so I'm going to try my hardest to explain this, to explain both movies. So I'm not going to go into the plot like how we always do it with these reviews, is that we always usually go into the plot and we talk about the plot, we talk about the whole movie basically. So that's a lot of spoilers. But for many of you who have seen the movie, I don't know about the 2011 version, because I know I kind of have some troubles with the 2011 version, the so-called prequel. But as far as the 1982 version, I love the 1982 version, and but yeah, I think I'll go into the plot. I'll read the plot to y'all, both plots, and let's see what we can do about trying to get this together here. So, all right. So we're gonna start with the 2011, since this is the so-called prequel to it. We'll start with the 2011 version, and then we'll talk about how we felt about that one, and then we'll talk about the 1982 version, and how different they are, and give our ideas and stuff like that. So, all right. So, in the 2011 version, it starts out in the winter of 1982. A buried alien spacecraft is discovered by Antarctica by Lars, Peter, and Olaf, members of a Norwegian research station, Thule. American paleontologist Kate Lloyd is recruited by Sander Halvorsen and his assistant Adam Finch to investigate. They fly to Thule in an American helicopter operated by Carter, a pilot. Jameson is co-pilot, and Greg's a crewman. The scientists are met by Station Chief Edvard, Juliet, and Carl. After seeing the spacecraft, the scientists examine an alien body buried in the ice nearby and make plans to excavate it. That evening, the new arrivals meet the rest of the base: Jonas, Henrik, Colin, and Lars' dog. The next day, the body is excavated in a block of ice, which gradually melts in storage. In the evening, Jameson sees the alien burst from the ice. The team search for the creature, finding Lars' dog dead. The creature is found. It kills Henrik by dragging him into itself, spattering blood on Olaf. The group burns the creature, killing it, and an autopsy finds a metal implant of Henrik's outside of his body, and further that the creature's cells were copying Henrik's. Olaf falls ill. The next morning, the helicopter crew depart with Olaf from McMurdo. During takeoff, Kate discovers dental fillings near a bloodied shower. She runs outside to flag down the helicopter. When it attempts to land, Griggs transforms and attacks Olaf. The helicopter spins out of control and crashes in the mountains. Kate finds the shower has been cleaned up and tells the team that the alien organism imitates its victims, noting that Thul's helicopters away for refueling at Haley. Oh, okay. Edvard orders the team to drive to the closest base. Juliet lures Kate into an abandoned room, transforming and attacking her. Kate escapes, but the Juliet creature instead kills Carl. Lars arrives with a flamethrower and burns the Juliet creature. The team resolve to quarantine themselves until the threat is eliminated and discuss scientific tests. That night, Carter and Jameson probably stagger back to the base out of the cold. Suspecting them as creatures, the group isolate them. Thul's laboratory is sabotaged and tensions flare. Inspired by her earlier discovery, Kate proposes a simple test. Everyone must open their mouths to check for dental fillings. The alien does not assimilate inorganic or metallic material, and so people with fillings are cleared. The test implicates Sander, Edvard, Adam, and Colin, who have no visible fillings. Lars and Jonas go to get Carter and Jameson for testing, and as Lars searches an outer building, he is suddenly pulled inside. Chaos erupts and Carter and Jameson break into the main building, shooting Peter dead and puncturing his flamethrower tank. The flamethrower's leaking fuel meets his active flame, causing an explosion which knocked Edvard unconscious. When Jameson, before she and Carter pursued the creature, which assimilates Sanders, the Edvard Adam creature attacks Carter but is burned by Kate, saving him. An assimilated Sander drives off into the night, pursued by Kate and Carter. They arrive at the spacecraft, which suddenly activates, separating them. Kate falls into the ship, confronting the Sander creature. Kate kills it with a grenade, and the explosion shuts down the ship's engines. Kate and Carter reunite. Kate notices that Carter is missing an earring he wore earlier. When confronted, Carter points to the wrong ear. Kate burns the Carter creature, which emits an alien scream. She seeks warmth in a nearby snowcat. The next morning, Thul's helicopter pilot, Matthias, returns. Absent from the film's events until this point, Matthias views the ruined station and the husk of Edvard Adam creature with horror. Colin is shown to have committed suicide by knife. Lars shoots Matthias and orders him to open his mouth. Lars' dog, thought dead, emerges and runs away. Lars orders Matthias to start the helicopter and give chase. So that's the end of the 2011 The Thing. Okay, so that is the prequel for The Thing, for the original 1982 one.
Yeah.
Now we are going to get into the 1982 version, and this is probably going to be a little different from the original. So,
yeah.
Okay, so in Arctica, again, a Norwegian helicopter pursues a sled dog to an American research station. Yes, this is different. The Americans witness the Norwegian passenger accidentally blow up the helicopter and himself. The Norwegian pilot fires a rifle and shouts at the Americans, but they cannot understand him, and he is shot dead in self-defense by station commander Gary. The American helicopter pilot R.J. McCready and Dr. Copper leave to investigate the Norwegian base. Among the charred ruins and frozen corpses, they find the burned remains of a malformed humanoid, which they recovered to the American station. The biologist Blair performs autopsies on the remains and finds a normal set of human organs. Clark kennels the sled dog, and it soon metamorphoses and absorbs the station dogs. Ooh, that's not good.
Nope.
This disturbance alerts the team, and Childs uses a flamethrower to incinerate the creature. Yeah, they used this very same flamethrower in the other movie. So,
Gotcha.
Blair autopsies the new creature and learns that it can perfectly imitate other organisms. Recovered Norwegian's data leads the Americans to a large excavation site containing a partially buried flying saucer and a smaller human-sized dig site. Norris estimates that the saucer has been buried for at least 100,000 years. Blair grows paranoid that the creature could assimilate all life on Earth in a matter of years. The station implements controls to reduce the risk of assimilation. The dead, malformed humanoid creature assimilates in isolated binnings, but Windows interrupts the process and McCready burns the binnings thing. Blair sabotages all the vehicles, kills the remaining sled dogs, and destroys the radio to prevent escape. The team imprison him in a tool shed. Copper suggests a test to compare each other's members' blood against contaminated blood held in storage. Remember, it was the dental fillings from the prequel that they did in order to understand who was telling the truth. In this one, it's the blood. They deal with the blood, so that's a very different from the original. But after learning that the blood stores have been destroyed, the men lose faith in Gary, and McCready takes command. McGreedy, Windows, and Knowles find Fuchs' burnt corpse and surmise he committed suicide to avoid assimilation. Windows returns to base while McCready and Knowles investigate McCready's shack. On their return, Knowles abandons McCready in a snowstorm, believing he has been assimilated after finding his torn clothes in the shack. The team debate whether to allow McCready inside, but he breaks in and holds the group at bay with dynamite. During the encounter, Norris appears to suffer a heart attack. As Copper attempts to defibrillate Norris, his chest transforms into a large mouth and bites off Copper's arms. Damn. McCready incinerates the Norris thing, but its head separates from the body and attempts to escape before also being burnt. McCready is forced to kill Clark in self-defense when the latter lunges at him from behind with a knife. He hypothesizes that the Norris thing's head demonstrated that every part of the thing is an individual life form with its own survival instincts. Excuse me, pardon. Oh, I hate that. Have you ever felt like a sneeze coming on and it doesn't?
Yeah, it doesn't come out. Yeah.
Alright, let me see. Okay, he sequentially tests blood samples with a heated piece of wire. Everyone passes the test except Palmer, whose blood jumps from the heat. Palmer transforms and infects Windows, forcing McCready to burn them both. Childs is left on guard while the other go to test Blair. They find that Blair has escaped and has been using vehicle components to craft a small spaceship on their return. Childs is missing and the power generator is destroyed. McCready speculates that the thing intends to return to hibernation until a rescue team arrives. McCready, Gary, and Knowles decide to detonate the station to destroy the thing. As they set explosives, Blair kills Gary and Niles disappears. Blair transforms into an enormous creature and destroys the detonator. MacReady triggers the explosive using a stick of dynamite, destroying the base. MacReady sits nearby as the camp burns. Childs returns, saying he became lost in the storm while pursuing Blair. Exhausted and slowly freezing to death, they acknowledge the futility of their distrust and share a bottle of scotch. Okay, so that is the 1982 version of The Thing. Alright, so let's talk about story. It is very different. The 2011 version and this version are very different from each other. Very different. Because if you remember me going through the plot for the 2011 version, I said that Kate in the 2011 version was in order to test on who was being who, they tested their dental fillings, the dental fillings, the teeth fillings. In the 1982 version, it's blood that they tested. They use in the 2011 version they use a flamethrower, and in the 1982 version they use a flamethrower for two totally different reasons. What do you think is, after hearing me read both plots, what did you think of both movies, dude?
Well, I mean, that's about the plot. I mean, they're probably good movies, but yeah, these are, I guess I've never seen them.
Yeah.
I just never got around to seeing them, but as we can tell, the differences in the plot, like I said before, in the remake it tested the dental fillings, and the original it tested the blood, so there was a lot of differences from the original, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And sometimes the remakes do that. They will try to change the story a bit. Sometimes they still follow the original plot, but then again, they throw some differences in there, maybe to kind of throw you off, but again, but yeah, I mean, sometimes that's what sometimes people, do.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, so this is my problem. So I want to get into the 2011 version, and I want to tell you guys my problem with how I felt about the 2011 version. There was quite a bit of stuff that I did not like in the 2011 version. The 1982 version was more horrifying. The 1982 version had more was kind of a little bit more comical than the 2011 version. The 2011 version tried to come off as this serious, dramatic type film and stuff like that, and trying to, like he said, throw you off. The prequel tried to do that, but I had some trouble following the 2011 version. The 1982 version, I could get by and stuff like that. Now see but as far as everything else goes, I think the 1982 version is hell of a lot better than the 2011 version. And I'll tell you why. They're trying to be so much. If you guys have followed the plot, me reading the plot, it's kind of a little bit of the same.
Yeah.
Only difference is that in the 2011 version, Kate and Carter have to go to this. They go far off they go far off into this place where they find the ship and stuff like that, and they gotta go kill this guy. You know what I mean? named Sander, and but it's kind of basically the same plot, only minor differences. Only there's several minor differences in both the 82 and the 2011 versions.
Yeah.
There was some things I liked about the 1982 one. Well, actually, there was a lot of things I liked about the 1982 one. Because CGI was basically getting started. CGI wasn't even around really all that much for the first thing. The CGI on the monster for the 2011 version was kind of dumb, was kind of stupid and stuff like that. But the 1982 version, when it turned into a goddamn spider, no. No. So that's my take on the thing. That's what I think about it. I thought that the 1982 version was decades better than the 2011, than its so-called sequel. While I like the sequel, while I think the sequel was okay in parts, there was so much problems with the sequel. So I don't know about him. I would give. Okay, let's talk. Okay, what would you give the 2011 version?
Well, like I said, I'm not good with, remakes. I always say that remakes kind of ruin it because, the original's where it's at. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, it gets better. That's what I agree with. I'm not saying the sequel of the new one is bad. I'm not going to say it sucks or anything. I mean, between that, maybe somewhere between, I don't know, maybe. Give it a two. I'm going to go too low, or but I want to go right in the middle somewhere.
You want me to tell you what I gave it?
Go ahead. What would you give it?
I thought the original was better, so I gave that one a 10 out of 10.
I'll definitely give it a 10 out of 10.
Because I thought the original was hell of a lot better than this one, than the 2011 one. The 2011 one, I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. The reason why I gave it a 6.5 out of 10 was that it tried to be scary. It tried to be. The director was trying to do things different, but it just didn't work. There was stuff in the 2011 version that didn't fucking work. Well, the 1982 version, John Carpenter has a way about his direction, dude. We talked about that when we talked about when we talked about Halloween, when we were doing Rip from the Silverscreen, the original Halloween, not the newer version. He has a way of directing. John Carpenter knows what he is doing behind the camera. I'm not saying that to give the guy that directed the 2011 version a bad rap. No. I thought that what's the guy's name again? Matthias Van Hedingen Jr. It's kind of like I have no idea how to.
The director for the new one?
Yeah. Matthias. Yeah. So yeah, I thought that the 2011 director, the guy that directed the 2011 version, he tried to tell a completely different, try to give his own take on the original, on the 1982 version.
Yeah.
But I just felt like the 2011 version just went down the tube. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I feel about this whole situation. I thought that the 1982 version was miles apart from the 2011 version. Even John Carpenter himself said it himself that that he hadn't. Even John Carpenter said that this movie was not good.
Yeah.
So that it became a really, really, really dumb. I don't know. It should have done. I think when you're telling the prequel to this, I think you could have done a little bit more better with the story. You could have done a little bit more better with the action scenes in the 2011 version were actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's just the CGI that sucked. It's just the other stuff, the story, the story kind of just sort of didn't make sense for a prequel. They basically did the 1982 version, but just added in new shit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. What do you think, man?
I agree with what all you said there. I have to agree with you. About all that. So yeah, this was supposed to be a prequel. I guess it's supposed to be before the events of the 1982. That's what I'm getting at. That was confusing. Because if you make a movie based on an old movie from years ago and make it a prequel, I mean, should that really have been made first and then that one? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Or at least make it. Or at least this is the thing that I think. You could have done a lot of other. You could have done a lot of other stuff with the story to make it more interesting, to make it more dark, to make it more grittier. Because I see what he was trying to do. He was trying to make it a more horrifying experience.
That's right.
Than that of the 2011 version, than that of the 1982 version.
Yeah.
I think if you could have done a little bit more better, a lot actually, at least 50% more better than what you did, then the film could have worked out. It could have completely worked out.
Yeah.
And I really don't believe that this would have worked as a prequel. Maybe if you would have made it into a sequel to the 1982 version, and added in Kurt Russell to talk to the original woman that was okay. So if you would have how can I put it? If you could have modernized it, and say that the events of the 1982 version had already happened, and there's some new people going into this place. You could have had Kurt Russell in the movie. Because he knows this base inside and out like the back of his goddamn hand. And you could have told a much more horrifying story with the thing, with it could have been like 1982 to 2011, so that's like what, close to a full 30 something years, I would have to say.
Yeah.
Let me see here. So 1982, 2011. So that's like 29 years. If you would have made it 29 years later, and said that, oh, this is what happened 29 years later, something is still out there. Something is still hiding in the shadows in the Antarctica. And basically, this is how I would have envisioned it. I would have said that Kurt Russell is trying to get over what happened 29 years ago. You know what I mean?
Right.
that he's trying to get over the events of 29 years before. And I would have had Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who played the lead in this version, say, come up to him and say, hey, I need your help. There's something happened. Something happened, and I think you should see about this. You know what I mean? Like, kind of sort of referencing the 1982 version.
Right, like, really.
And make it more horror. He has, say Kurt Russell is having trouble trying to stay awake at night. Trying to stay asleep at night because he's having nightmares and visions about what happened all those years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah, really.
And he decides to go. He hesitantly decides to go help her. But he's reliving the night. It's like it's like he's having flashbacks again to the 82 version. And he would have, there again, he's having to go through the same shit that he went through all those years ago. Only this time, it's something much worse. It's something much worse is something much worse is hiding in the shadows in this frozen tundra of Antarctica and stuff like that. That's how I would have told the story. That's how I would have told the story. But what about you, man? What do you think?
I mean, yeah, like something like that. Like, at least have reference to the original, like you said. Like, have characters in the new one, the main character in the new one, like track Russell's character down. Like, she needs his help, and she wants to know about what, everything, and like he said, they got to know all about it, and he tells her about what he would live and what nightmare he was put through. They did a previous film.
Yeah.
And, so it should be more like a sequel than a prequel, to be honest with you. I mean, that's how I would see that. And you see it in some movies sometimes. It's like in a sequel to the first film, or years later, they do make some films do that. They'll go track down the person that was from the original film. They think that, like take Halloween, for example. Like, in the original, and then in 2018, they find Laurie Strode. They want to know more about her, about her nightmare on that Halloween night when she faced Michael Myers, face to face. Like, something like that. That's what makes the story interesting, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like, there's another one that I think that should be said, that because they made several sequels to it anyway, and they kind of sort of reference it in one of the sequels. The Predator. Now, if you would have had, and then we're I want to talk about the Alien vs Predator franchise as well too, as a whole, because it kind of pertains to this. See, I wish that in the AVP, the first movie, we would have had Ripley, and we would have had Arnold Schwarzenegger's character in the first AVP, in the first Alien vs Predator, because this is what I think. They both know a lot about them. They both know a lot. Arnold Schwarzenegger survived the first Predator film. Ripley survived Aliens. They both know the historical aspect of these characters. You know what I mean? And if you would have got those two together, Sigourney Weaver and Arnold Schwarzenegger, if you would have got them together to try to take out these things that are now coming into our world and trying to destroy our way of life, humankind, I think that shit would have been epic like a motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then going back, and then that's kind of what I wish that they could have done a little bit better. You know what I mean? Because I know Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's still making Terminator movies. By the way, they're fixing to make another one.
Oh my gosh.
Where Sarah Connor, the chick that plays Sarah Connor in the original film, in the first film, she's coming back. She's coming back for this one.
Linda Hamilton.
Yeah, Linda Hamilton.
Part 1 and Part 2, FYI. Judgment Day, don't worry about that.
Yeah. And I'm kind of scared about that, though. I'm kind of scared about what kind of story can James Cameron tell with an older version of Sarah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's interesting.
But what we learned about... Yeah, sorry, man. Go ahead.
That's a good job. But that's interesting because how they would bring her back. But here's the thing, though. In the Part 3, which was Last of the Machine, probably we thought his mother died. Remember, that's what threw us off. So,
yeah.
Obviously, maybe now we know that there was no body in there. So that tells you something right there. I mean, that's going to be interesting, though. But I agree with you. I don't know how are they going to establish, her coming back into the picture after 2 movies. From the first movie, she's hunted down by Arnold's character.
Yeah.
And she's saved by a soldier, and then she ends up getting pregnant into something with John, as you remember. And then Part 2, of course, John is adopted, and she's in a mental hospital, apparently.
Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. We're kind of off topic. We're kind of off topic, but it's kind of. Yeah.
So yeah, and after that, after the movie ends, Part 2 ends, we don't see what happens with him. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, not to be off topic here, but so yeah, I'm just curious how that's going to work out. But anyway, so back to what we're talking about, which is the thing.
It kind of pertains to what we were talking about before with these 2 films. How these 2 films are so different from each other, but yet so alike from each other. But the 2011 version tries to be more dramatic, more dark, more grittier, and it just fails. It just fails. And as a prequel, it fails. But if what I was talking about before, like what me and Knight were talking about before, if you would have made this 29 years later, if you would have made this 29 years later in 2011, and had the Mary Elizabeth Wednesday character in modern day, in a modern setting, and the storyline would be she would have to go find McCready, she would have to go find RJ, Kurt Russell's character, and Kurt Russell's character is going through his own shit, trying to get his mind off of the events that transpired in 1982. You know what I mean? So, and they did really good with. You remember, dude, when we were talking about the 2018 version of Halloween? They did really good with how Laurie had to get past Michael Myers. After 40 years, she was still going through her troubles. She was still going through problems. What would have happened if they would have done the same thing with R.J. McCready, Kurt Russell's character, with this one? It would have. He went through hell in the 82 film. He went through a living hell in the 1982 film, and I think it would have worked. I think if you would have made this into a sequel to the 82 film, and instead of this guy that was doing the direction, if it was John Carpenter doing it, then this would be 10 times better.
Exactly.
This would be 10 times better. The story would make sense. Everything else would be okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I think, and that's what I think, and that's what I know. And I think me and him agree that I think a sequel would have worked. I think a sequel to the 82 film would have worked, instead of making it into some bullshit prequel, trying to make sense of, because it didn't really make sense from the 82 version. It's basically the same film, but only they added like newer stuff to it.
Real, yes. That's exactly what they did.
You know what I mean? So, yeah. So yeah, this is the last rip from the Silverscreen episode that I will give you guys. I know I said that the Crow was the last one. This is kind of, think of this as the season finale, but part 2. So, but yeah, let us know in the comments down below what y'all guys think. Do you guys think a sequel to this would have worked? Do y'all think that me and Dark Knight's idea about a sequel would have changed things for the 2011 version? So let us know in the comments down below, and all that stuff like that. That is going to be it for me for today. I am, as always, Mr. Grimreaper 2. He is the incomparable Dark Knight 987. If you wanna get on his channel and look at some stuff, he'll probably have some stuff for you guys on his channel.
He's working on that.
Yeah, I'm helping him a little bit here and there, but as far as everything else goes, let us know in the comments down below what you guys think of this November version of Rip from the Silverscreen. I'm sorry guys for this. I apologize. But yeah, that's gonna be it for the day. I am, as always, Mr. Grimreaper 2, and I'll see you all in the afterlife. Peace.